The last few years have been nuts in the real estate and new construction world. In this video, we are going to talk through what you need to know as a home buyer in 2023. From the chaos through supply chain issues during COVID, to the insane market demand in 2021 and early 2022, to the interest rate spikes at the end of 2022, it has been a wild ride to say the least. But here we are, almost halfway through 2023. And the question is, what is happening now? Well, I thought I would give you some insight. And I thought there would be no better person to help give us the perspective on what's really going on than someone who is talking with buyers like you every day. So I'm here in Colorado Springs in Willow Springs Ranch, and we're gonna talk to Monty, one of our sales representatives out here. All right, Monty, well, welcome. I'm looking forward to your little secret tip for us all at the end.
Sure.
But before we get there, I wanna know just your background in construction. Why are you the man with all the answers?
Well, I've been selling homes for a while. I started a number of years ago in San Antonio, Texas, and the market was pretty normal when I first went there, but within a very short time, COVID hit, and we all thought we were about to be out of business and not be able to sell anything, and just the opposite happened. The market just absolutely went crazy during COVID. We sold every house available. Sales were better than ever. Sometime in the middle of that, I moved here to Colorado Springs and have been selling here for the last few years. It's been an up and down roller coaster here. When I first started here, the market was really good, and it went from really good to just unbelievable, out of this world. From a seller standpoint, from a buyer standpoint, it wasn't so great because it got very hard to buy a home. So then, sometime about mid-22, we started feeling this cool breeze blowing in that was the interest rates began to go up, and they continued to go up, and they continued to go up. And so it completely changed the market through the end of 22. And then in 23, it has begun to escalate again. Not to the point it did a couple of years ago, but it's definitely been on the rise again here in 2023.
So the interest rates have been insane in this climate. In the end
Right.
of 2022, what did you see from buyers?
Well, they were used to walking in and buying a house at 2%, 2.5%.
Right.
And so as it began to rise, we started feeling fear come across buyers. So buyers were coming in, they were still looking, but fear began to settle in. And it seemed like, man, every 2 or 3 weeks, they'd start coming back around again, and 2 or 3 weeks later, the rates would go up again, and all the buyers disappear. So they'd start kind of crawling out of their holes, and interest would rise, and boom, they'd all disappear again. So there was this cycle of they'd show up and then they'd disappear. They'd show up and then they'd disappear. And the great thing about being in new home sales is what we can control is pricing and incentives offered to people. So
Right.
we saw, and a lot of builders began to provide incentives to help people get a better interest rate, and some of the prices began to come down some. So the reality was, at the end of 22, it really felt like a recession, a home recession. I mean, people just were not buying homes late in the year.
So it just seems like a cloud was over your head last year. Tell me about going
Yeah,
into...
not just us, but buyers. I
Right,
mean, you
right.
buyers out there know, man, at the end of the year, it was a little gloomy when it came to buying homes and for us to sell homes.
Right, so tell me about going into 2023.
Yeah, so we came into 2023 with a lot of uncertainty. Nobody really knew what interest rates were going to do. We had more inventory in our neighborhoods than any of us were used to having. We used to have very little inventory. Now we had completed homes that were starting to get months along the way. So a lot of uncertainty coming into 2023, what it was going to look like.
Yeah, and what are buyers experiencing now? What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, so 2023 rolled around, and it was almost like somebody turned a switch on. And it wasn't that a lot was different. A lot of the things we've been saying right along about great incentives, great pricing, it was like the new year started and people began to believe that, well, maybe this is actually a very good time to buy. So we started seeing our inventory just, back to the levels of it was in early 2022,
Wow.
maybe even greater. We were selling homes at a very, very quick pace going into the new year. And that wasn't just here in Colorado. That was in Texas and, everywhere that View Homes build. We were seeing everything really accelerate again across the market.
That's insane. I don't think people would know that.
Yeah.
So why do you think buyers are back out purchasing since interest rates really haven't dropped?
Yeah, well, they have a little bit at times, but more than them dropping, they at least stabilized. So instead of being the constant rise, and I think we went through a long period of time where people who were ready to buy just couldn't pull the trigger. And so it was almost like 2023 rolled around and people were like, okay, now there's a little more pressure on them. People have been waiting to buy, and so people began to realize, okay, they've at least stabilized. And they begin to tune into the fact that, especially in the new home building world, builders were offering some incredible incentives that we haven't seen in years. And so interest didn't come down, but there was enough pot on the other side of things to really create some momentum for people to start buying again.
Yeah.
So I think buyers begin to realize, man, there's less homes than there are buyers. So buyers are realizing we've got to get out and take advantage. The interest rate hasn't totally come down, but there's some great, so there are some other things that are drawing people back out, and they realize I better buy now. I think another thing buyers are becoming very aware of is that rent's not getting cheaper in the middle of this. So every month rents are going up. So the longer they wait to buy, the more money they're spending in rent. So a lot of them are realizing, yeah, it's time to go out there and make an investment. And
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Home. Yeah.
So for buyers who are looking to step into this market in 2023, is there anything you would want them to know about the current climate?
Yeah, there's no doubt incentives are kind of at least a mini year high. Prices are down, but the reality is it's been a hot market here for a few months. So inventory in terms of homes that are either done or in process is being depleted very quickly. So it's a great time. But I think what's right around the corner is a lot of builders quit building during this bit of a recession, and so we're gonna feel an inventory squeeze here again pretty quick, and because builders haven't been building, the inventory's been being bought up. So I think we're gonna see over time prices are going to start coming back up and incentives are going to start going back down because the market's going to tighten back up again. So I would say if you've been looking at buying,
now's the
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sooner rather than later. That's good. So I guess that would lead into kind of your hot take, right, on what everything's going to look like in this coming year. So what do you have to say there?
So my encouragement to buyers would be there's a window here, a small window where incentives are kind of at their best, prices are kind of at a lower mark, and I think that window is probably pretty small because we're running out of inventory, ready to go inventory. So I think we're going to see incentives start to disappear, prices start to go up, and it's going to start looking a lot more like that market where it was hard to buy a house without even kind of overspending on it. So yeah, I think you've got a window here that could be very critical in the buying market for a new home.
Yeah, interesting. Good. All right, well, thank you so much, Monty, for all of that information. It was super helpful.
Good.
See you next time.